All right, we are back. So we covered a match from Titan Del Ring. Peanut Gallery did some research about the company, and there's a lot to unpack when it comes to this brand.
There is a lot to unpack with this. So I guess we can start talking about the origins of this. So it was founded in 1971 as a program for TVN, which is where we've been watching all these matches. And just for some background, we did a match from Titans del Ring last week, and I thought, oh, we should look into this because I don't think many people have ever heard of this promotion.
Yep.
So it was based at the Teatro Capulican in Santiago, and it was an effort to bring pro wrestling to television. So this was the foundation of professional wrestling within Chile.
And was it produced and made by the network?
By TVN, yes.
Okay, it was by the network.
It was. So, it was very basic.
Think of 70s Lucha Underground.
Exactly. Good versus evil, a lot of people, dressing up in characters and doing matches.
So how did they get around that part? Because they used Spider-Man, Tarzan, Dracula.
So the characters weren't actually like their uniforms. They were heavily based off of that, but copyright law in many countries just work way differently than they do in the United States. It's very similar to what you would see in Mexico. Like, they can use copywritten music and stuff like that. So that's how they just kind of get around that. It was very popular, obviously. The break, so it ended in 1973 because of the coup d'etat, which happened in the country. So there was a restriction on mass events and changes in television policy, which affected the program. So
the coup d'etat was a military coup, and if I'm not mistaken, the people who took over thought that it was too violent. Mm-hmm. So they took it off the air in, I think, 1978?
No, 1973.
1973. Because this brand has left and came back four times.
So let's talk about the tours and the revival. So there was one in 1977 to 78, which was part of the children's show Dingo Londango, which had some Titans del Ring wrestlers incorporated. And then there was a television series between 1981 and 1982. It wasn't as popular as the 70s version was, but it was more the traditional wrestling. And then there were national, international tours. So they did live shows in Chile, Bolivia, Peru. So it was not televised, but it definitely was wrestling. It was just touring.
So if I was reading up myself, just so I had the knowledge as well, their business model was very much polar opposite, where the live television show was a thing that promoted the live show. So they actually made more money during the live shows than they did with the television show.
Right. And then after that, there were other uses of the brand name, but it wasn't kind of in that spirit of the original television show that happened in the 70s.
So were these wrestlers trained?
Yes, they were.
These are trained wrestlers.
They were trained wrestlers, but you got to remember about the era in which it was a thing. So, talking about its legacy, there was a school that was established along with this.
Okay.
So the school, I think, was retained longer than the actual show. The actual show itself.
Okay.
There was it had, obviously, culturally, it was very significant for professional wrestling within Chile. I don't think we'd have so many Chilean professional wrestlers if it wasn't for a television show like that.
Right.
Because there are quite a few wrestlers from Chile.
We should probably get Stephanie Vaquer on the line, see maybe if she wants it. Now, this might be way outside of her age.
Probably outside of her age group, but But again, it's something that people do remember fondly. It was very nostalgic. It coincided with a very politically active era within Chile.
Right.
There were international versions of this, which were very similar but not the same.
So
like there was an Argentinian version of
that is Teton's NL ring, I think. Yeah. So that if you do look up Teton's Del Ring, the other one does come up more because that one
had lasted a little bit longer and was a little more modern.
But it was the same. Mm-hmm. Was it made by the same people, or
no,
was it just
not? It was very different. And then there were Mexican ones that were very similarly named. Those were a lot of the touring ones. So this was kind of the original masked televised lucha libre show, like made for television lucha libre
in Chile.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. Think of it something along the lines of Chile's version of CMLL or
Lucha Underground. Like I said,
because it was primarily a television show.
Right.
They never did tours.
You did say they did tours.
Well, the later iterations did the tours.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 1971 to 73 was the television company doing the wrestling, I guess, as like a side gig. So, I just thought it was interesting. Some fun facts. Almost all of the original TV tapes were destroyed after the coup.
Yep.
Because they saw it as too violent. The first world champion was Tarzan Chileno.
We're actually going to be watching a match that involves Tarzan.
Yes. The live tours were insane for the era. So when they did the live tours, it was something that was unheard of. Like towns would empty out when they knew that the wrestling was coming to town.
Interesting.
Sort of thing. They were very open about the tango, so like the actual like the style of wrestling was called tango. It was very bombastic, very very kind of on the cuff, but it was like theater.
Okay.
But it was treated as an art. So there was a lot of athleticism in it, but it was something that was more akin to an art form.
Well, like you said, it was a television show. That's why the ring and everything is set up the way it is.
Yep.
It looks like something from like Gladiators.
Yes.
It's like a play.
Yeah. The post-fame lives of the wrestlers were sometimes, some of them were just regular ass jobs and some of them were just really like out of this world. So there was a television show and a book that followed the original Tetons del Ring like decades after they were on television to see what their lives were like. It was kind of like where are they now?
Interesting.
Sort of thing. So there's enough documentation for books, for television shows, but it all started in this 1970s theater from this television show.
So do you think I don't think all the tapes are destroyed. I think they're starting to come out now. Mm-hmm. Because, some people record this shit, but the coup was a thing that actually killed a lot of the original tapes.
Yep, it was. So, that's just what Tetons del Ring was all about. Very, very pioneering professional wrestling promotion in the South American country of Chile.
Yes. So when we come back, we're actually going to be watching a Tarzan match.
Hooray!
And then, we might take a little break from Tetons del Ring, but there are quite a few matches that somebody uploaded. So.
There wasn't a pay-per-view, so it's like, let's just cover this.
Oh, yeah. All right. So when we come back, we're going to watch another match.
Yay.